Hey dolls and friends, I hope you guys are all well today. This video is just going to be a little bit different, a little bit more transparent than most of my other videos. I just wanted to talk about our experience with Caleb having COVID. It has been an up and down roller coaster for my emotions and for just the overall time that we had to deal with it. But I also first and foremost wanted to thank you guys, and I appreciate y'all so much because prayer does work. I wholeheartedly believe that and stand on my faith and trust in God for healing us and believe that we are here for a greater purpose. So I just wanted to say thank you for your prayers, your thoughts, your messages, texts, calls, your love, just all the well wishes that we have gotten. It's truly been really crazy. So I know we live in a time of COVID where it doesn't seem like it's going to go anywhere anytime soon. And now with this the Delta variant, I feel like our kids have been impacted greater than we could all have imagined. And it all started actually about a month ago when Isaiah got really sick. And Isaiah has always had some type of respiratory issues since he's been born. It felt like he had like fluid like in there or just congested. He always had a problem sleeping when he was a newborn. So every time that he, falls ill or gets sick or something like that, it's like hypersensitive for me and my husband. And we kind of go in an overdrive in regards to taking him to the doctor and getting him some medication and stuff. So about a month ago, he got really sick. It was all like flu-like. Of course, with COVID, we're like, does he have COVID? I took him to the urgent care and he tested negative with the rapid test. Throughout the course of over the month and a half, Isaiah has had 2 rapid tests and 1 PCR test, all negative. So that has been so great. But in the middle of him having those 2 first rapid tests, in his daycare class, there was a case of RSV. And when I told my, I'm still working full time. So when I told my manager that I had to be out for a few days to care for him, she's like, is it RSV? And I was like, oh my gosh, I didn't even think of that. So I talked to his pediatrician and the nurse on call and duty. And of course they wanted him to stay home because he had all COVID-like symptoms: fever, chills, nausea, vomiting, loss of appetite. He was lethargic. He just was not like, yeah. So when we found out about a week into that illness that there was a case of RSV in his daycare class, I was like, okay, that's what it is, because he tested negative for COVID. So over the course of 2 weeks, he was like in daycare for maybe 3 days, maybe 4. You know how like, that, daycare is going to get your kid a little sniffly and cough and stuff like that. But of course now we're in a time where everything is hypersensitive. So we just kept, we took him back maybe for a day or 2 days, and they would say he just really wasn't like active. And I could just tell in his face when I dropped him off one day that he was just so sad. And I felt so bad. So the next 2 days I just kept him home. And he started to, get a little bit better. So then the following week we took him on a Monday and he was better, but then they called me and said that he had a low-grade fever and needed to be picked up. And I was like, oh gosh, he's not well. He's not doing well. And so I picked him up, I kept him home for a couple more days, and then took him back on a Friday, and he was doing fine. Then the following week, took him on a Monday. That first day, they said he was fine, but when I came and picked him up, they said he like literally threw up everything, like all the mucus that was inside. I was like, okay, well that's kind of a good sign. And his nose is runny, but it was like clear. So, okay. So I decided to keep him home on Tuesday. That Tuesday, we got a call from the same school. Caleb is in kindergarten. He's in private kindergarten. And they said there was a COVID case in his classroom. Now, he had only been in the school year for 2 weeks so far. And so I was like, oh gosh. So we quarantined for 10 days. Our school is private. So they go off of the county's like rules and stuff, but they still kind of do their own thing. So they send the entire classroom home for 10 days. Anytime there's a case in a classroom, they send the entire class home for 10 days. It's definitely inconvenient for parents with work schedules. We are blessed enough that both me and my husband work from home, so it's manageable, but my heart goes out for the parents that I know that have to go into the office now. But anyways, I went to go pick up Caleb, and we were like, okay, like we need to get him tested because this is not fun. And they said that he had direct contact with the person in the classroom. They don't say if it's a teacher or a student, but I'm almost positive it's a student. And we actually had dinner with family the weekend before, and unfortunately that child had tested positive along with his parents. They're finally on the mend and they're doing better, so we didn't know which way this was going, like where Caleb could have gotten it. So anyways, we tested him about 3 days after he was sent home from school, and we got that test 2 days later and it was positive. Now me and my husband also tested the same day, and Isaiah tested a couple days later. We were all negative. Caleb was the only one that was positive, and it broke my heart. I was like, oh my gosh. I was like really like in like a state of shock, because I was like, we've been so safe. They wear masks at the school. Caleb is so like smart with it. He's like, no, I'm gonna keep my mask on because I don't want to get sick, and he will not take it off. He only started pulling back when he saw me and my husband pulling back because we're fully vaccinated. So sometimes we felt, you know, well, the CDC says we can go into the store without a mask. Like, we did that maybe a couple times, and I was like, no, I don't feel too comfortable just yet. So but he's really good at that. The school is extremely good with their precautions and their procedures. They don't really let the parents go back into dropping the kids off. We have to drop them off in the lobby. So when it came back positive, like everything just kind of started crashing in. And after a couple of hours and it set in, I think I cried for 2 days. It was like disappointment and not fear, but like, oh my gosh, like what is next? Like, I know they say that it doesn't really affect kids that much, but you never know. This virus, it just attaches to people in so many different ways. You just don't know what could happen or what might happen. And I just hate seeing my kids in pain. It was already enough seeing Isaiah go through his RSV illness for the better part of almost 2 weeks. It was really heartbreaking. Luckily his fever broke in a couple of days, Isaiah, but I just could not bear to see Caleb go through any of that stuff. So it was a lot. And then me and my husband had a trip planned for our anniversary, like a huge trip we had been planning for a year. Luckily those things can get postponed and pushed back and we can still go. But of course, just all the disappointment and all the emotions that you would feel as a mom or a parent, it just all like rushed in. And we had to cancel so many things. We had to push back so many things. We had to like explain to them that we had to stay in the house. We actually isolated Caleb. We are blessed enough and lucky enough to have a home that is large enough for him to be comfortable on his own. So we isolated him for about 8 days, and he had their bedroom. We moved Isaiah into our room. He had his own bathroom, and he had the playroom where they have all their toys, and there's a TV in there. And so it was really weird too, because Isaiah somewhat understood what was going on. He knew that he couldn't go into the playroom. Obviously he was fine with sleeping in our room. We put his bed in our room, so he slept in his own bed. But I mean, he's still a baby, so he was under me all the time anyways. But with Caleb even reiterating like, Isaiah, we can't hug, we can't play right now, I have to get better. You know, it just blows my mind that my 5-year-old understood the gravity of the situation more than most adults I feel did. And he just amazes me. And he was so great, and he took it like a champ. And he was just so honest with us about what hurt, what didn't feel right. So thankfully and prayerfully, he did not have to deal with all of the symptoms at once. So he had them like one at a time, maybe a couple at a time, and they all went away within a day or two of each other. I think he had a headache for like 24 hours. He never had a fever. He lost his sense of taste for like 2 or 3 days. And the only reason I knew that, I don't think he understood what that was. I would give him apple juice and he'd say it's yucky, it was nasty. Kids love apple juice. And I'm like, I just poured that apple juice. It's fresh. Like, I just bought it. He's like, no, it's yucky. I don't want it. It doesn't taste good. And there was a day where he just didn't eat anything. I'm like, I think that he can't taste anything. So, yeah. And there was just a couple days where he was just tired looking. You could see it in his face and his eyes. He was just really pale. So I just, you know, kept him as comfortable as I could. We kept going in there, you know, just sitting with him. Me and my husband, that is, we would alternate, you know, with masks on. He would put his mask on. When Caleb came out of the room, he would have his mask on. He was very, very cautious and very protective of not, like, giving anything to his brother. It was just so, it was so caring. And so we dealt with that for a long time. And he was, I mean, he was in a playroom, like with TV, access to YouTube, Netflix, Hulu, Disney Plus, like everything. So he was okay. We gave him a little bit of schoolwork, but not much. But he was, you know, he was relatively fine. And I'm just happy to say that they are so good today. He was so excited that he got to not wear his mask in the house all day yesterday. He played with his brother all afternoon. And I could just tell that they missed each other so much. That first hug when he came out of that room and came downstairs and we watched a movie together after dinner. And he was like, I missed coming downstairs and watching a movie with you guys because I love you. He's just so, so awesome. So he's doing so, so much better. Isaiah is so much better. This is the longest that Isaiah has not had a runny nose, and it's because he's not in daycare. And I, for the life of me, do not want to send them back to school, but I know that they have to go back, especially Caleb. Like, he's in kindergarten now. We want him to be, you know, the best, you know, that he can be as far as, you know, learning and just, you know, growing and having that time with his friends. So we definitely bought more masks, bought more high quality grade masks for them, and just trying to keep them as safe as possible, getting Isaiah comfortable with wearing masks. I mean, if you're 2 and older in our school, you have to wear a mask anyways. So I know that the cases have been increasing at that school because before the Delta variant, our school only had, to my knowledge, 3 cases. So yeah, and then what's crazy is the time that we were already out, because when Caleb was out for his COVID, I kept Isaiah out. Well, I pretty much had to. And 2 days later, we found out there was another case in Isaiah's classroom. Luckily, he wasn't there, and we just tested him a couple days ago, and he's negative again. And me and my husband are still negative. We're fully vaccinated, and that is a testament to the vaccine, that it works. I was around my kids Caleb was definitely positive. Like, we were around him before he got tested, so I'm pretty sure he was positive or infected before we tested him. So the fact that we didn't, you know, he didn't transmit it to us and we didn't transmit it to Isaiah or anything. And then one of the other moms that I know, both of her sons contracted COVID at school, and her husband are vaccinated, and she's like 6 months pregnant, so she's terrified, but they have not transmitted it because of that vaccine. So whatever your belief system are, wherever you are, that's where you know, you have the best, you know, decision made for you and your family. I'm not saying you should or should not. It's just what works for me, my family, and my friends, and I know what, you know, our experiences are. So whatever you do, you do you, boo, because I'm gonna do me. But I just wanted to give a quick update because I know you guys have been asking in the comments and texting, calling, DMing me. So I just wanted to do a really quick update video on this situation and this topic, because I appreciate y'all so much and I want to keep y'all in the know. I could have just did another post, but I really wanted to get a little bit more personal with you guys, and just explain the whole situation, because I feel like I've told this story like 1,000 times to people that call me. But yeah, so everybody's good. Caleb and Isaiah are good. Like I said in my post, you wouldn't see them in my intros, and that holds true for the last few videos. I did those a while ago and they just are scheduled. But going forward, as long as they feel up to it and they want to be in it, then they'll be in it. Isaiah more than Caleb. But yeah, I mean, if you do want to see a little bit more of them, make sure you are following me or subscribe to my other channel. It is called Journey with Amber Michonne. It was Green Family Adventures, but I changed it because it's more of a journey with me, lifestyle, raising my boys, travel. So Journey with Amber Michonne, and you will see more of them. I just posted a couple more videos over there during our travel to California when we went in July to go visit my parents. But yeah, so just thanks so much, you guys. We are all good, all healthy, all fantastic. And me and my husband's anniversary trip is coming up in a couple of weeks, so I cannot wait to share that with you guys. Like I said, it'll probably be on my other channel, Journey with Amber Michonne. So make sure you are subscribed over there. You'll know the destination over there. You're subscribed and following. So yeah, that's all I got, and I will see y'all on the next one. Bye.